show we've been waiting for some time, and all kinds of other things. Cooper Cup, hated by one team, loved by the other. Guess we'll see what happens. Welcome to our show. Hello, Justin.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
So everyone, I meant to say Cooper Flag scores 49 points or whatever, sets NBA record, but I was talking about the Super Bowl, so I said Cooper Cup. But Cooper Cup, is I guess he got back at Los Angeles real quick the other day.
He sure did.
He had something to say about it too. I didn't really hear it, but he had something to say.
Yeah, I think it was about them not wanting to pay and making excuses for, why they wouldn't bring him back.
It's amazing, and I think it's this way everywhere in business, especially when you're dealing with personalities and egos, is that, teams just decide that certain players, no matter what they've accomplished, they're just not going to pay them. And then they spend a ton of money on somebody they don't know.
Yeah, trying to replace the numbers of the person they're letting go of, using probably most likely analytics, as we talk about all the time, to justify shaving a few dollars here to pay a guy who's clearly got all the tools and skills you need to be a winning formula, put together a winning team. And then they try and justify it because some guy has a quicker 40 time and, an extra quarter inch of finger on his hands, or, who knows. But that's the business. That's what these guys engage in when there's a salary cap and they have to justify bringing players in and out.
I was thinking of something we were talking about the other day, not on the air, but just Justin and I were talking about the NFL Hall of Fame. And listen, the whole thing with Belichick, I don't know what to say. But I was thinking about all the comments that were made about Eli Manning, how he didn't have good years, how he threw a lot of interceptions, all these things. And the guy has 2 Super Bowl rings. He beat 2 of the best teams that ever lived,
including the best coach and best quarterback ever to coach or play the game
in the best year they ever had.
Yeah.
All right. People say it was luck. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. That's all I have to say about that.
The defense did their job, and that's what gave the opportunity to the offense to make a play and win the game. And that's what a team sport is. And he's every bit a part of that victory as anybody else in uniform that day.
And all you could say, the GOAT, right? Undisputably the best quarterback ever to live. What are the only 2 thorns in his side? Eli Manning beating him in the Super Bowl twice. But I just was thinking about the irony or comparison. Coaches were fired this year. Really good coaches. Buffalo, Baltimore. Why? Because it didn't matter what they did in the regular season. They didn't win a Super Bowl.
That's right.
But now, here's a quarterback, and what are we saying? It doesn't matter he won a Super Bowl. He didn't do anything during the regular season to make him a Hall of Famer.
I just think that it's such an unfair criticism for a variety of reasons. Eli was on a team that had virtually nothing. I don't want to say nothing, but virtually nothing. They did have, Michael Strahan the whole time. But that team did exactly what winning teams do when your goal is to win a Super Bowl. They progressed every year from his rookie season to year 5 when they won the Super Bowl. And every year he got a little bit better. And the year before, they lost to Carolina. I think they got shut out, and it was doom and gloom. And they were going to fire Tom Coughlin, and Eli's not the guy, and blah blah blah. And you had to wonder. For me, at that point in my life, realizing how destructive the New York media is. Forget about how critical they are, but they're just a bunch of talking heads that chew on everything, and they can never be positive when someone doesn't win. And that's unfair to the players. And case in point, Sam Darnold got run out of town.
Twice.
Robert Saleh got run out of town. Robert Saleh got a new gig as a head coach of the Titans. Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl. It takes time to win. And in the New York market, you have to win right now. Well, when was the last time the Giants won anything? The Jets, forget it. They're a lost cause. But
yeah, but the Titans aren't getting a top tier guy. They're not getting.
No.
So you're gonna have to like put some faith in somebody that's had success anywhere else but New York. And
also, to your point, Vrabel got fired by the Titans, and he's in the Super Bowl with the Patriots. So, it just goes to show you, the coach matters, patience matters. You have to let somebody build the program.
Right.
You could say, well, Justin, it happened overnight with the Patriots. It really didn't. I know they came off back-to-back 4-win seasons, but they made the decision to go with this guy who's available. Whereas plenty of guys are available, and the Jets still have Aaron Glenn as head coach.
Yeah, there's something to.
But to regarding the Hall of Fame, Eli Manning, Belichick, we know Belichick's going to get into the Hall of Fame. Okay, whether we want to believe the story about Polian and the Deflategate being the reason that they
but that's not what he
against
said.
him.
That's not what he said.
Right.
He said he didn't remember who he voted for.
Yeah, plausible deniability, which is garbage. Total garbage. But Eli, in his own right, with the other players on the draft, and this is not a knock on Eli. Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. He will be a Hall of Famer, and he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. And it's not just because his last name is Manning, but the players in this class are better than him, as football players go. Because who else is in this class? Drew Brees is in this class. So where do you rank Eli in that conversation? But to think that he's not a Hall of Famer is not understanding the trajectory of his career, where he started, where he came from, how he progressed. He did everything right, regardless of his detractors, and won 2 Super Bowls. So I think they would have won 3 if Plaxico hadn't shot himself. That's debatable. I think every Giants fan feels that way.
Well, you could also say Drew Brees may have won another one. Remember, he got burned on a bad call or something. It
happened twice to the Saints.
Twice.
Yeah.
Year after year.
Yeah.
So one of those go the other way. I mean, Drew Brees is an amazing quarterback. Plays hard, plays with heart, has amazing ability, loved by the fans down there like mad.
And Eli didn't have, he didn't have what Drew Brees and Tom Brady had in terms of protection. And it's not a knock on his offensive line. That's a knock on the calls on the field. He got beat up for a long time, and no more worse than in that 49er championship game where he absolutely got the snot knocked out of him and just kept coming back. I mean, that's what you want. That's a Hall of Famer to me. He getting up and sticking it right back in their face, making play after play, and won that game. So regardless of his play in the Super Bowl, it's what got him to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, that makes him a Hall of Famer. The end of his career was ruined by McAdoo and the way the Giants handled everything. Jerry Reese, McAdoo, just that whole – it was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. But to say that him or Tom Coughlin are not Hall of Famers is ridiculous. Because any team today, if it were 15 years ago, would take both of those guys to start their franchise or start over, or whatever you call it. Anybody looking for a head coach today would hire Tom Coughlin then. Anybody looking for a quarterback in the first round or, with their number one pick, they're taking Eli Manning. It's that simple. And that's not hindsight. It's just reality.
Right. Well, I agree with you. Listen, Eli was a good quarterback. He played very well when a push came to shove. I mean,
Played great
yes.
when it mattered.
Did I usually complain about him? When I stopped complaining about him was the San Francisco game. We talked about it yesterday. That game he played. I mean, everyone. I remember watching it. I was sitting with people that didn't even like football, and they said, "How do they expect this guy to win if he's laying down? If he's getting hit by 300-pound guys?" I mean, I think he was sacked 5 times and knocked down and rushed another 10.
That'll be his legacy, is that he was his best when everything else around him was falling apart. And that play, getting away from the defender in the Super Bowl, is the defining moment for him, really. And it's just encompasses everything there is to know about Eli Manning and how tough he is, and just that he's a winner and can make plays when you need him to. Although my opinion on the overall scheme is that this is completely and totally orchestrated by the NFL. They needed something to talk about this week, and here we are.
I think there's many more things to talk about. Maybe they're on coach. As I put in a list, the NFL coach merry-go-round, where, all right, you take this guy, I'll take this guy, and you go to this guy. Now,
that's generally how it works.
Yeah, but I think more so this season than I ever remember.
Yeah, well, I mean, there were more coaches with experience as head coaches available this year than in years past. So you would expect those guys to get jobs. Tomlin being the antithesis right now, because he must have his eyes set on a location, because for him to step away and not take an interview or go somewhere else right away, and he is a young guy. He's only in his 50s still, so he can come back anytime and coach.
This morning, before they hired someone else, I was thinking, what are the 2 people we hear the least amount from? You're hearing the least amount from Tomlin, doesn't say a word, and you're not hearing anything. Well, you weren't till today about the Raiders, and I was like, you know what? Maybe he's going to go to the Raiders. Maybe, and then they hired somebody else, right? They hired the offensive coordinator from Seattle, I believe.
Oh, it's I didn't see that today. Kiffin?
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. That's exactly what I thought they would do. And if it's official, then I think it's pretty clear that we know they're taking Mendoza number 1. And that's, listen, that's a perfect setup. Go figure.
No, they're taking Clint Kubiak.
Kubiak.
Kubiak, yeah.
The coach, right.
Yep, the OC guy. And Mike LaFleur went to the Cardinals.
Interesting hire. And again, first-time head coach. So we knew that was coming, because no one's going to turn down, regardless of the state of the franchise, no one's going to turn down a first-time head coaching opportunity, regardless of where it is. Whether or not he stays there,
I agree,
is remains to be seen. But listen, you wish a guy well. All of these guys, you don't want to see teams perennially stink. It's no fun. I've learned that over time. But some of these organizations, their ownership, they just can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, I mean, Chargers hired, Dolphins, Mike McDonald as their OC.
The Chargers hired.
Chargers hired former Dolphins head coach Mike McDonald for the new offensive coordinator.
The Dolphins' former head coach, Mike
Yeah,
McDaniel.
Mike McDonald.
McDaniel.
McDaniel. What did I say?
McDaniel.
McDonald?
McDonald is the head coach
McDaniels,
of
yeah.
Seattle.
And then Bills, they promote
I,
Joe Brady.
I have 3 or 4 Bills fans at the bar that were like, we were running down the litany of coaches, and every single one of them said, as long as they don't hire Brady. And who did they hire? Joe Brady.
Because it's funny because you just think about what the owner said. Wow, we didn't obviously, and he kind of, I mean, they definitely included, Allen in the mix, and you got to talk to him or interview him or whatever happened, or he was there when they interviewed him, which is nice, I guess. But you're interviewing your offensive coordinator. They already know. I mean, what are you going to ask him? What's your plan?
Just so I don't get it. I just don't get it.
But they fired the other guy because they didn't think they had played the good offense all year, and then they take the offensive coordinator and bump him up.
I was not a fan of McDermott. Obviously, the relationship that Brady has with the quarterback is paramount to all of this. He must really love him. They must love each other. But again, no one's turning down a head coaching job if they can get it. So I was surprised that it wasn't Dable. I thought for sure that, maybe Judge decided, if you give him the job, I'm not coming back, kind of like a Schwartz situation in Cleveland.
And he went to the Titans.
Yeah. That's shaping up to be a good coaching staff down there in Tennessee.
But because he gets hired as OC, he gets both checks, or they deduct part of it? Because he has a guaranteed contract, right, for at least a year or more. I don't know how many.
He's got to be getting double dipping.
Yep, double dipping. So
Good
why would you take a head coaching job? The Browns hired Todd Monken. Monken.
Yeah.
And you got, I think that's a perfect example of what you're saying. If there's a head coaching job out there, no matter what it is, you're going to take it.
They got, they have some serious issues to get past. And
they all have serious
That's
issues.
not a knock at Shedeur Sanders, because either you play him or you don't, right? Is he your quarterback? Is he not your quarterback? Head coach has to make that decision day one. Is Deshaun Watson healthy enough to play? Are we still paying him? Can we trade him to the Jets and get out of this contract? Because what else is there at this point? So, when you take a job like that, you just have to make decisions and stick with it, have the courage of your convictions, because that's ultimately what a head coach has to do. So you have to straighten all that stuff out as soon as the plane lands on the tarmac. Because if you don't have a plan, you're going to get exposed immediately. So good for Monken.
And and
I can't imagine he'll be there he won't be there for the life of his contract, like every other Cleveland head coach.
And I would realize the Dolphins, they don't know what to do with Tua, whatever it is, who's playing, who's not, what are they going to do with the offense? I mean, they may be doing the right thing, though. They went out and hired the defensive coordinator of Green Bay. And maybe they say, let the offense be whatever we have for now. Let's build the defense, because we can get pretty far with a good defense. And we can let the Tua thing work out over time.
Looks like that might be their plan. I just, I worry about Tua's health. That's all. There's something amiss there, and I don't know
protect the guy from his own stupidity.
You can't, but at some point you have to have some integrity and realize that if he can't play, he can't play. And
by the way, I have my Great Maine breakfast cup today, which is a breakfast. There's a couple. There's like Great Maine breakfast. There's like one on every block in Bar Harbor, but Great Maine breakfast is a pretty good place. If you're ever up that way, make sure everybody goes there for breakfast in the morning. You can eat inside, outside, depending on the weather. They make everything, all their jams, all their everything themselves. So it's a good place.
Can we add them to the official sponsor list?
No, we cannot. But I'll be honest with you, there is a coffee place that I really love up there in Bar Harbor, and I can't remember the name of it. Latte something or other. Very low key. They only make one size of cappuccino, and it's small. And I usually have 3 or 4 of them. But it's a really good coffee place, kind of too laid back for a New Yorker, but it's very good. Loco Moco or something like that. Loco Coco Loco. Right now I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Cocoa latte.
Something like that. So today, not to keep. So today was my sister's birthday.
Happy birthday.
So I posted. I didn't talk to her, but I mean, I called her, but she didn't answer. So I posted, and I won't play it, but whatever. I hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Gather round the. I posted. Oh shoot! I can't find it. I posted something of her today that I'm sure is going to bring the ire of her existence. Only because it's an old picture. I was like 18. She's 5 years older than me. So she was what, 23? And, I actually had hair and too much of it and a beard and whatever and thin. I mean, it was definitely an unusual picture. And she was there, and I used AI, and she sings My Milkshake, you know that song? My milkshake is the boys in the yard. And her mouth moves. and I posted it on Instagram and whatever. So
she may not answer the phone for a while.
I did a whole bunch. I originally did a whole bunch like that. So here. Okay. And you literally, you can't really see, right? Because the light blurs it out.
No, I can't really see
her mouth's moving. And I'm sitting there with a beard and.
Yeah, she won't talk to you for a while, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, and all her friends were like, "Is that you, Marianne? Is that you?" But I did a whole bunch of those, like some old pictures. I did some of like my mom and dad from their wedding pictures. They were hysterical. My favorite is I did a picture of my dog. Because when I got divorced, my ex-wife wouldn't let me see the dog again. It was like torture, even though and it's a little cute Maltese, and I had this great picture, and I animated it, and I put in the song from Fast and Furious that they do at the end when what's his name died.
Oh yeah,
It's been a long time since I see you, my friend. And the dog is singing this song, and it looks like next time I'm with you, see, and I posted it on the internet. My friend called me up. It was before I finalized the divorce. My friend called me up. He goes, "If you're looking to make this a total war, keep posting stuff like that." So I had to take it down, but it's really good. Next time I'm with you, I'll show you the dog. I mean, you look at it, you want to cry because the dog sings it perfectly with the AI.
Dangerous.
Yeah, give me a computer and a couple of things, I could take over the world. Back in my hacker days before there was crimes. I'm sorry, we diverged from sports, did we?
Just a little.
I apologize for my shortcomings. But where were we? We were talking about coaches and stupidity.
Coaches in Cleveland and quarterback situation, which now I got the giggles.
But I think when it comes to the Hall of Fame, I think they did themselves a great disservice by not by allowing this gang of 11 people to keep Belichick out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they have an integrity issue right now, for sure.
And yes, I agree.
If
He'll
you
always
if
get
you
in.
personally had made an argument, I don't know that these guys sit in a room and discuss this stuff, but you know,
Apparently, they did.
well, that's a problem because I mean, let me backtrack for a second.
Well, there is a thing they do where they do a presentation on all the players that are
Yeah,
eligible.
yeah.
There is something they do like that. But
If
who's
you're
better than him as a coach? Don Shula?
maybe different era, but sure, Shula's
Maybe
great coach.
Shula's a great coach. Took Super Bowl. The
Tom Landry,
Baltimore,
Lombardi. I
Baltimore.
mean, where do
Tom
you draw the line?
Landry, Lombardi,
Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll, but maybe he's better than Chuck Noll. I mean, look at the era he played in. He really had to manipulate. I mean, Chuck Noll was a great coach. Don't get me wrong, but he had great teams. What's the guy? Brown from the Browns.
Paul Brown.
Paul Brown. I mean, we're talking great, great, great coaches. But, maybe in this era, he's been able to do things that no other coach has been able to do. I mean, you
Without
got two,
question.
maybe three.
He managed.
Bill Walsh was a great coach.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's still coaches from that tree in the league. He managed a dynastic franchise for 20 years through the evolution of the salary cap formation that we have coming out of that era that Bill Walsh coached in, where there was no salary cap really. And Belichick did something, and we talked about it previously. He didn't just come. It's not like he was a defensive coordinator and came there and just coached the defense. He coached the whole team, including special teams. He was involved in every facet of the game, including drafting all the players for his roster. He knew exactly what every player's role was from top to bottom, 1 to 53. He had a plan for each of those players.
Right.
When they get guys like Danny Woodhead and they, get them off the scrap pile, or they make deals for people like Wes Welker and then Julian Edelman following that. They had a specific plan for all of those players. And remember what we talked about, he was going to trade Gronk to Cleveland and Gronk retired, right? So
Right.
They still won, they not without Gronk, but point being that there was a plan for everything. And nothing was left unturned in terms of his plan was, we're going to do it this way, and everybody's got orders, right? It's like it's a game of attrition, and everybody plays their part. And there was nothing that that was the difference between them and everybody else. Is that
do your job? Remember, do your job.
They say, "Oh, the Patriot way." It's Belichick's way. Just do what the coach tells you. If you don't, what was the playoff game? The Bears, right? That guy that didn't finish that route that Caleb Williams got intercepted on in the final, is that guy playing for Belichick next year? Probably not. Right?
Yeah, you definitely got penalized when things weren't right. You know what I mean? You always had to have that 110%.
You just had to follow instruction and do things properly. And yes, you have to hustle. You have to go 110% on every play. That's the difference between winning and losing, going to the Super Bowl and staying home in January. It sounds simple. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but regardless of your talent level, if you could give 100%, Belichick would find a place for you. He had a role for you. And a lot of teams just don't have that in their coaching staffs. They don't have that in their scouting departments. They don't fit the mesh from top to bottom. But the coaches that have autonomy, the coaches that control the whole roster, the coaches that have a say in picking who they want on the roster and making room for guys, those are the teams that win.
I agree.
Just look at Dallas. Dallas was every bit of a Super Bowl contender when Tony Romo was there, and Jerry couldn't get out of his own damn way. And I know I always say Tony Romo had the most unfortunate string of unfortunate incidents happen to him that shouldn't have happened, which even though he was involved in those plays, I still don't think they were his fault. Like the botch snap, the 2-point conversion, the fumble, none of that should have happened. It did happen, but it shouldn't have happened. Not his fault. But all the things that led to those deficiencies in that team, you can point at Jerry Jones and say, you know, that's you. That's on you. That team had a great offensive line. They had all the parts for the meal. They just needed somebody to cook the meal without Jerry throwing extra ingredients in there.
I guess that's true. You know, I mean, there were a lot of things. So,
Unless you're the Jets, when you can't get out of your own way regardless, and the owner meddles in everything your coaches do.
Well, they definitely meddle into everything your coaches do. There's no question about it. But I don't know. It seems to me, I was trying to upload that video so I could play it at my sister singing, but I wasn't able to do it. It seems to me that during the era of coaches having to deal with salary caps and renegotiating contracts, and that he was 50% of a team, with Tom Brady being the other 50%, who sat down and said and worked, even though they didn't really like each other, which is also a facet of it, personally, for whatever reason. And because they both were the center of their own universe, that's why, but at least I believe so, they were able to come up with a plan and execute that plan perfectly. And if they didn't win the Super Bowl, they came damn close.
And they came back with another plan to beat you the year after.
The year after. It was, well, okay, this guy's got to go. This guy's got to go. This guy's going to want too much money. If we can get this guy to take this amount of money, we could keep him. And they would build a team together.
I know Tom, restructured and took less money than other guys were getting to help that team win. And that's a huge part of it. I have to wonder how much Belichick influenced him. And I don't want to say threatened him, but you knew Tom wasn't going to leave New England because he has a great relationship with Robert Kraft. At the end, obviously, that was a different story because it seemed like Kraft, the needle went the other way and shifted towards Belichick, which that's a hard thing, I'm sure. But Brady taking less money and Belichick kind of maybe holding that over his head, in my opinion, worked against Belichick in the end there. But they had already won, 6 Super Bowls. So who might criticize? It worked for 20 years and they were great. And we'll probably never see anything like that again. Unless Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can figure something out and retool and come back again. But, and I'm not saying they can't do it because they have their own formula and it does work. But
I think Reid's done.
I can imagine them, when is that new stadium? 2029?
I don't know. I hope I live that long.
I don't know where that's up in the air at this point. It's too early to make a prediction on that.
Now we know Kelsey's thinking about retirement. He hasn't really said anything, right? You have your quarterback is having knee surgery. And you have a coach that by all accounts, has kind of lost a step. The team isn't as well-rounded as it used to be. I mean, he got pummeled in the Super Bowl. He made no adjustments of any kind that I could see in the second half, which has always been his strength. Is to come out in the second half with a brand new team.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have a personnel issue. Not making excuses for any of them. But if there's one guy who already has a frame of reference for this situation, it's Andy Reid, because look what happened to him in Philadelphia. And a lot of people said he can't win the big one. He can't do this. He can't do that. And we all, knew he was going to get a job again. And he went to Kansas City. And you think, well, they're kind of that franchise has been good, but not great. They couldn't win with Joe Montana. They couldn't win when they got, Marty Schottenheimer was a great coach and all that stuff.
Joe Montana and the running back, what's his name? OJ's friend.
Marcus Allen.
Was it Marcus Allen?
Marcus Allen. At
Marcus
the end
Allen.
was in, yeah. I mean, that was probably the most star-studded backfield you could have at that time. I mean, two Hall of
Marcus Allen
Famers.
in his day.
If they give them the opportunity for one last ride, and it's a plan to get into the new stadium, I have no problem with them opening the new stadium with Andy Reid as the head coach and bringing that franchise into a whole new city. It's not even like they're getting a new stadium. They're moving to an entirely different city. So you need that gravitas to pull people in, because they're going to want to see that. If they decide to go another route, Patrick Mahomes is going to be old enough where you question if this guy's still. I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he's diminished or anything like that. It's too early to make those predictions. I think he'll be fine. But new stadium, new coach, new quarterback, buzz, excitement. I mean, it's all part of the decision process. So you don't know how things are going to play out. You don't know who's going to be available in the draft. You don't know what coaches are going to be available if you're looking to replace your head coach. So right now, I think they'll rally around him. They'll circle the wagons. They'll right the ship, whatever phrase you want to put on it, and move forward. But I think we are, nearing the end. Whereas just 2 years ago it was, oh, this is the next Tom Brady. This is the next Belichick. This is the next dynastic force in the NFL that no one can beat them. Who can stop them? And it goes to show you how close you are, even as good as you are, to the end at any moment. And for whatever reason, whether it's aging players or, coaches leaving the staff and coaching somewhere else. I know they brought back in Bieniemy for their offense. I would imagine he might get the head coaching job if Andy Reid were to leave.
Yeah. And I have to say, our friend out there that's a defensive coordinator hadn't really done a job the last 2 years. So what are you going to do? I was just looking at Joe Montana, 2 seasons with the Chiefs, 93 and 94. Marcus Allen, and we forget somebody, Derek Thomas.
Oh.
Remember they were talking about him? The
Monster.
Next, Lawrence Taylor, right?
Monster.
Neil Smith, defensive end.
That's a crime what happened to him. It's a real shame.
Yeah, J.J. Burden, wide receiver. Kimball Andrews, fullback. Future offensive lineman Will Shields.
Percy Snow was on that defense.
Yeah, Willie Rolfe, Dave Whitman, strong.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. They were good. That was a great Christian Okoye, I think, was in the mix there. I don't know. Was he still there when Montana came to Kansas City? Christian Okoye.
I'm looking at 93 right now. So
they had Barry Word in that backfield, but I think that was before.
So the first year he was
Marcus
there,
Allen.
he went 11-5.
Man, Marty was a good coach. Man, he was a good coach. He had
Oh yeah.
the worst luck. He had the absolute worst luck. Oh man, he should have went to the Super Bowl with the Chargers. The Chargers are, I mean, sickening, sickening. They had the Patriots beat twice and blew it both times. I mean, literally handed it
Yeah.
over on a silver platter.
I remember. I if I remember anything about the Chargers, it's those games that they had. I think it was with the Raiders, where they would just wear themselves out, and players would like from the heat fall down, and you'd give them oxygen. They'd carry them off the field, and then they'd throw them back out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man, that
So
Chargers Patriots. You have the interception where they were not in field goal range. The guy intercepts the ball. Troy Brown tackles him. He fumbles. They pick up and recover the ball within field goal range, kick and win. Then the guy gets the first down that would have ended the game the following year. Or was it the first year? Doesn't matter. And gets up untouched and does the whole point for the first down, drops the football. Wake up, dude. You're playing a playoff game. Like, wake up. Patriots recover, march down the field, kick a field goal, game's over. Just like that. And they were good. That was a good football team.
yeah, well, stranger things have happened. So what do you think? What's your feel?
You want to break down this game?
Sure.
So I think I'll start on defense for both teams. Seattle has that number 27, Tariq Woolen, that can't keep his mouth shut. But he is a, sizable cornerback that can shut down, pretty much anybody. I don't know if they're gonna put him on Diggs, if they're gonna move him around or try and just shut down one side of the field. But if he can keep his mouth shut and just play football, it'll be an interesting matchup to see them cat and mouse offensively, Seattle against New England that way. They got speed on defense, Seattle, opportunistic on offense. New England is kind of a mirror image. Seattle's very well balanced. They've got a good lockdown corner in Christian Gonzalez. He plays really good in man. So he's going to be locked up on Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I think will be that matchup, I think, is going to determine the outcome of the game. It's whether or not Seattle can find an opportunity somewhere along the way to get him the ball deep and open it up. I know the line is favoring Seattle. It's up to 4.5 now, which is still, in a Super Bowl, that's a lot of points. I always say 7 is the magic number, but that's a lot of points. You got Sam Darnold, who is the veteran quarterback in this Super Bowl, who has shown composure. He's very efficient in the play action, but New England is pretty good reacting. Like, they don't overreact to the play action.
Right.
Sam Darnold, so far this playoffs, has protected the football pretty well. I mean, I don't think has he not thrown an interception in this playoffs? And to play into the receiver part of it, they're pretty good at attacking downfield outside the numbers, short game outside the numbers. And they can kind of will their position on you on offense because they're big and they have a tough running back. Whereas New England, I know that Drake May, they were talking about maybe he has an injury. I think that might have been what moved the line a little bit, but he does have arm talent. and he's been doing what the Patriots have done all season. Take what the
It's a
defense gives
shoulder
you.
injury, right? It's a
Yeah,
shoulder injury, but is it
allegedly.
non-throwing holder? Non-throwing shoulder? I'm not
Uh,
sure.
no, I thought it was his throwing shoulder, but it didn't seem to
No.
bother him in the last game. You know, the Patriots can make plays in tight windows because of people like Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Um, and Drake May, for what it's worth, he's fairly calm when things are falling apart. I know his vision is a little questionable because he doesn't take off running. He's a pocket passer first. He's not a run first quarterback at all. That gets him into a little trouble, taking sacks and whatnot. But for the most part, the Patriots do a good job protecting him in the pocket,
Right.
and he's also comfortable attacking outside the numbers um, in the short passing game. Um, and he's got a knack for making like high percentage decisions. He's not going to put your offense in jeopardy or cost you field position. Um, I think New England might have a higher ceiling, believe it or not, because they can be a little scary because you don't expect them to have the most talent on the field. But Seattle's so well balanced on offense that they're they're a safer floor pick, if you will.
Right.
Um, Seattle's balanced. They get yards after the catch. They tend to control the tempo of the game, and of course, they have tremendous explosive play ability with Jackson Smith and their running back, who seemingly makes these big catches out of the backfield week in and week out in the playoffs. Um, and New England's going to do what they do. They're going to be efficient in the red zone. They're going to take points when they're there. They're not going to chase points. They do a lot of motion pre-snap to try and figure out defensive positions. And I I don't want to say Seattle's so much more talented than New England, but if you had to pick one player on the field to be that guy, it's definitely Jackson Smith and Jigba. You know, neither quarterback really blows you away in the statistics department. Um, neither does
But
the run game. They're just consistent,
right.
both
But
teams.
I would say that for New England to win, I think everything has to go right. And
Well,
and it's
I would
Seattle.
say 90% of everything has to go right. They're going to need a break. They're going to need somebody to make a mistake, and they seemingly always do this year.
Yeah, I mean everything has to go their way, whatever it is. But on the flip side of that, we've seen Seattle come back like the Thursday night against the Rams. We've talked about it 100 times, where they're down a ridiculous amount of points. They haven't played well in the first half at all, but somehow they flip a switch and go out there, and Sam Darnold picks up the team and carries them to the finish line.
Yeah,
Now, as hard as that to say out loud, it's absolutely true.
for sure.
So who knows? Who you betting? What are you betting?
Well,
If
it's
at
hard
all.
to get away from Seattle all year. They just keep winning. They come at you. They impose their will on you a little bit. The Patriots, they take what the defense gives them. The Patriots have had the easiest road to this Super Bowl. They've had the
Right.
easiest strength of schedule. They got two gifts. The way one quarterback was out, one quarterback played like garbage. Um, but as we know, these games every week come down to the final 2 minutes and a special teams play here or there. And it's hard to get away from that, especially when you get points. So that coupled with Jet fans rooting for Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, I'm taking the Patriots in the 4.5 points.
Really?
I think you're going to be well prepared. It might be a 3-quarter game and then they get blown out in the fourth quarter. But if they're in the game by a score, I got to go with New England. It just seems like everything's going their way. A little gift here, a little gift there, and I think there's probably part of my brain that still thinks, will the real Sam Darnold please stand up? But I'm rooting for them. But my money's on the Patriots.
Well, my money's on Sam Darnold. I think I really believe Seattle's going to outmaneuver them. And I sure hope it doesn't come down to when they're on the 2-yard line with a few minutes left and they decide to pass instead of run. But I mean, there's
They won't
nobody
make that mistake. They won't make that mistake again. But I can guarantee you that both those defenses will be well prepared for that situation.
I mean, it's crazy. You think about that's one of the of all the Super Bowls, that's certainly something that sticks in my mind. The other would be Atlanta folding up and going home a quarter too early.
I mean, that's what I mean about the Patriots. In every Super Bowl they win, something goes their way. That game was over. Run the football, kick the field goal, game's over. Especially after the tremendous catch that Julio Jones made. He played his sack off in that game. He was great.
I mean, I'm not quite sure how they went back to Atlanta after that mess. I mean, it really was. I'm sorry, it just came up on my phone. It really was a total disaster. And I don't know what to say. I mean, it was really. You play this whole year. And everything reminds me of when the Giants used to go into a prevent defense. Here it is. Yeah. Years ago, remember? Mm-hmm. They would play, and they'd play really well.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, the running back leaks over the middle for 5 or 15 yards.
They go into this prevent, and we're going to give a little bit, but we're not going to give up a touchdown.
The pass rush disappeared.
The team marches down the field.
Yep.
And then they figure out how to beat you. Well, I don't know what to say, but that's what it is. So next week, we'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll certainly start moving on to other things. I know we haven't talked much about the Rangers folding up their tents and going back to wherever it is they go. It's one of the worst Ranger teams I can remember.
Chris Drury has absolutely ruined, him and James Dolan working together is an atrocity. And if you can't see it, then you're not paying attention. It's just that simple. And they're not doing anything to get it. They traded away 2 good players, heart and soul guys, and they're trying to tell you that we're looking forward to the future, and we're doing. And they are lost, absolutely lost,
so lost, and I can't even talk.
They stole my head coach. They got a good head coach from the Penguins. They brought that guy in, and he is a good coach on top of being a good person. And maybe he has a relationship with Drury. That I don't know, but Drury is not the guy. I know he's a former player and an all-star and a Stanley Cup winner and blah blah. Not a general manager. He's just not. That's not opinion. That's fact. And the Rangers are going to suffer as long as he's there, unless they go on a spending spree, which you can't do, and find talent where nobody else can find it to come in and replace what they lost and get them over the hump. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And it's a shame because in hockey, it's hard. It's hard to fix that. It's hard to replace talent. It's hard to find guys that have work ethic. It's not an easy sport to play. It is a grueling sport. And
And you have to have a mesh, and people have to get along, and people have to protect each other. It's just a whole different the team part of it is beyond anything else. It's not like football where you say just do your job. I mean, there's so many aspects to it that
in hockey, it's there's an emotional factor to it where guys react to other guys and the way they play. If one guy's not giving effort, that can drag the whole team down. Whereas, and that's the Rangers. Whereas they don't have a guy that'll call somebody out in the locker room like they did when they had Messier, who ironically is in Dolan's ear also. That holds people accountable. And when management decides that the guy that works the hardest is the first guy to get traded because they don't want to pay him or they don't want him making himself better off because analytics tells you, you don't need to practice. It's hard to watch if you're a Rangers fan because there's no excuse for it. You play in the Garden, you have an owner with the deep pockets, and you're making decisions about players based on shaving a couple shekels off the price tag because the analytics said that this guy's faster defenseman or has a higher skate speed or quicker slap shot or whatever the case may be. I just eyeball test. Is the guy a player? Is the guy working hard? Is the guy in the locker room? Is he in the weight room? Is he working off ice when we're not practicing? And they got rid of two guys like that. And they're going to get rid of two more guys, most likely at the trade deadline. And they're going to be worse for the wear.
Yeah, and we'll, besides looking at hockey, talking about we're going to be diving more into more before pitchers and catchers, that is. We're going to start diving more into the NBA, of course. The trade deadline is just a few days away. Today's the 2nd. It's the 5th.
I think
the Giannis sweepstakes.
Giannis, that's an interesting one because I know right now the fodder is about Mikal Bridges and whether or not the Knicks are going to trade him, who was a big piece for them last year, and they expected him to be a big piece on this particular team. But I would imagine if I don't know what Giannis's injury is, if it's really bad. I know he's doing everything he can to give that organization a fair chance to build a winner.
Right.
But they don't seem to be on the same page. That being said, if they
played pretty well without him though, which is kind of weird.
They did. Yeah, they did. Sometimes that happens, especially in basketball, because you carry so much weight that it not that it drags you down, but it takes away from other guys and their game. So if the pieces don't fit, they play better without you because they have to.
Right.
So I would love to have him on the Knicks. I mean, that'd be great for New York and the Garden and everything else.
But that's part of the things, the rumors get out there on Towns and stuff that, he's lost a little heart in the game because, there are rumors out there that they're trading him.
I think it's his personality that just doesn't mesh with what people thought he was.
There's also rumors out there that LA may trade Anthony Davis. Now, I'd hate to see him end up on the Knicks. I mean, I could just see those guys do that. I really could. And give away somebody good. I mean, Dallas is, they're weighed down with his contract. He really doesn't play well. The other's Jonathan Cummings. It's with Golden State. Michael Porter Jr., Brooklyn, Jay Morant.
John Morant's interesting because he's a very talented player, and he doesn't have to be the guy.
But who do you?
I'm sure he's unhappy where he's at.
Get him?
I mean, that's.
Where's he in Memphis?
Yeah,
right?
The Knicks have a good nucleus, right? I mean, I know when they traded. Was it Dante DiVincenzo? A lot of people were heartbroken because he fit so well with that, and they had that core.
Well, they all came from Villanova together.
I was going to say they had the core group of Villanova guys, and you wanted to kind of see how that would play out. But the Knicks always, they're always a piece short, or they have a log jam somewhere. and they can't ever seem to get past it. Everybody else can see it, but it's like they can't see it. So I don't know. If they can figure out the Mikal Bridges thing, I know they made some transition on defense the last week or so. They switched something around. Um, and I think they're a good team. I think they have a good nucleus. I mean, between
Right.
Brunson and Hart, those two guys they're good friends. And they play well together. They're clearly, the heart and soul of the team. And everything kind of goes through them as the Knicks go as they go. But they still, and I'm not knocking Brunson or any of those guys. They still need a guy. Towns is not that guy. And they need a complementary player that can kind of galvanize them and fill a hole that seems to always exist in their roster, and they haven't found it yet.
I mean, there's some rumors that Zion Williams may be traded, but the team is maintaining that they're not looking to do that, even though he's not paying well. But
I mean, we've heard all those things before. Yeah, we're not looking to trade, and then the guy gets traded. Or they're looking to trade, and then the guy goes nowhere. So the NBA is weird that way because of the structure, the soft cap or whatever they have going on there. So the money has to even out and all that.
And the Knicks are saying they're not aggressively seeking out trades. So the hell knows?
It's a big game. And I think the players still control a lot of it. Not necessarily to the extent of these super teams, but who knows? It's the NBA. It seems like the teams that want what they want always get what they want, i.e. the Lakers.
Yeah.
And who knows where Golden State is at, because seemingly they're really only one player away from getting back to prominence, even though the record indicates otherwise. One player makes a huge difference in basketball, so your record is kind of irrelevant before the trade deadline. So we'll see how it shakes out.
I agree. So having said all that,
hockey, we'll talk with I reached out to Alex Lyon, the goalie for the Sabres, who's on an incredible hot streak coming off injury.
Absolutely. Everybody
9-1 in his last 10 games.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Good for him.
So I'm hoping that we'll get to speak to him during the break.
Nice.
And
listen,
in my opinion, he's deserving of an all-star game. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
But I mean, we can always do an interview and then just add it in later on.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be live. So we can always do that. Whatever works for him, we'll make ourselves available, or however that works. But
Sabres play tonight at 7, actually. So I'll have to put that on. Take a gander.
So here we go. I am going to take Seattle with the points.
You giving the 4.5?
I'm giving the 4.5.
I'll take it.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. So, everyone, thanks for listening again. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next week when we have a new Super Bowl champion that isn't Mahomes, Brady, or anyone else with the names that we've heard. So,
usual suspects.
Unusual
suspects this week.
Thanks again. We'll see you all next week. Like and subscribe. Thank you again. Have a good one.
Good night.